Welcome to Channel Security Secrets. I'm Lou Rabon. On this show, we expose the untold secrets and critical insights from the people shaping the future of cybersecurity sales in the Trusted Advisor channel. If you're looking to up your game around selling security, stick around. Channel Security Secrets is brought to you by Cyber Defense Group, on a mission to shift cybersecurity from reactive to resilient. I'm really delighted to chat with our guest today. She's a trusted technology advisor, thought leader, board member, and public speaker. Named a 2025 Technology Advisor Award winner by Channel Futures, she brings over 25 years of experience in the industry, specializing in technology procurement and strategic advisory. A dedicated advocate for women in tech, she serves on the Alliance for Channel Women's Philanthropic Committee. She is the CEO and trusted technology advisor at Minerva Tec Group. Anita Patel, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lou. Thanks for having me. That was a nice little intro. I didn't realize I did all that stuff.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that, right?
Yeah.
So, Anita, what's the biggest secret to your success in the channel?
Biggest secret to my success in the channel. So I think for me, mainly is around building those really great relationships with people, right? In anything you do. And it's really around understanding that you have the same goal in mind, that you have the same beliefs and values, and that you can really work together as a team, but really authentically building great relationships. And I think that's a key to everything. Not just the channel, or not just like selling, not that I'm a good seller, but it's just, I think that is the key to life.
Good relationships.
Good relationships, authentic relationships that, that serve a purpose both ways as well, right? It's not just one-sided. So
yeah, how do you do that? What's your secret sauce to developing those relationships?
I think for me is it's just spending a lot of time with people, right? I'm a people's person, so I get a lot of energy from people. I love being around people, and I love learning about people's experiences and what they're doing. I love learning all the time. Not just obviously around new technologies, but around people's experiences and their wise words and wisdom and things like that, right? So I think that if you take interest in actual people, I think that you go a long way and build true relationships with whoever you're trying to build relationships with. But it's not even about trying, really. It's just a natural thing, I think, that comes to me.
Yeah, for you, I think that then you're very lucky, because I think some people, they do find it. Obviously, if people are drawn to sales, one of the reasons they're drawn to sales is because they typically have that skill, a little bit extroverted, like to speak to people. But for some people, it's pretty draining. And you're saying that it actually gives you energy, and you're interested in other people.
Yeah, definitely interested in other people. I've never been in a real true sales role. And it sounds really... people are like, you've never been in sales. I'm like, no, I've never, ever been in sales before. I've never, ever worked for a quota before. And I've never done any of those things, right? So I don't come with that mindset. And I think just naturally, as my career developed it from program management, project management, different things, I learned to kind of bring different people together in different ways with different skill sets. And so I was learning about what do they need? How do they need it? What is their skill set? And just so that interest of bringing teams and projects together, I guess I just learned a skill that just comes naturally to me now.
So you haven't been traditionally in sales, so you're really doing strategic advisory, essentially.
Yes, yeah. I never worked in a sales role before, and I am a problem solver. So my career mainly was program and project management in the telco world. So really building out operational teams and new product development and solving issues and problems in the back end, and bringing teams together. So I like to solve problems and manage them all the way through, and ensure that we get good outcomes.
So how'd you get to the channel?
How did I get to the channel? So I guess just working in telco for a very long time. I was in the UK, had my own agency out there for a while, and there's no channel in the UK. But in 2017, Avant came over, and they were the sort of first exposure to the channel that I had. And so I was like, this is interesting. Like, I'm not just, helping clients with infrastructure, but it's everything else. Like there's so much more that I can bring to the table, right? And learn. So it was just a big learning curve. And I think 2 years ago when I moved to the UK, to the US, I just really immersed myself into the channel. I was like, this is amazing. Just purely because there's great people in the channel. So your curiosity of people and learning and technology, and so there's just so much, and it's ongoing all the time. So yeah, that was kind of my step into it.
Very cool. And what are you doing around security in the channel?
So lots, right? Then, as you know, there's lots of stuff going on in cybersecurity, and it's not just widgets anymore, right? It's around really understanding where our clients are. And so we really partner with a lot of VCSOs and CISOs that work and help with clients and with you guys that, that we go in and go, okay, what is the problem that you're having right now? Where's your data kept? What kind of industry are you in? And really kind of just picking all of that out and understanding where the client is at rather than just selling things to them, right? Everyone can sell a widget to people, right? And as I don't know how to sell things, I kind of know, I like to go dig deep and go, okay, what is the problem that you're having? And where I always think if there's a really big problem in a business, that's where the money's going to come, right? If you can untangle that, that's where the ROI is, right? And the safety, or you're going to build more reputation, you're going to build more trust, or whatever it may be, right? So let's look at those problems and see, okay, step by step, put them in priority order and go, okay, which ones are we going to do first? Where are you at? Or do you need your compliancy fixed first? Or do you actually need your employees to be trained first? Like, how are we, where should we do it? Let's not do everything together. So I think for me is, in terms of security, it's so wide. And I think picking it out in small steps for organizations, I think that's the easiest and quickest way to kind of show that your value or the advisory that we bring with our resources.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually will contradict you on that.
Go, Brett.
We can use this kind of as an enablement session. We found that, we started in the channel a number of years ago, and in the beginning we were getting those inbound requests, which is, hey, we want a pen test, we want a project, we want vulnerability management or a quick assessment, and we were taking those projects, just as like one-offs. And there's a lot of misconceptions about that. First of all, those little projects, they don't really move the needle. They give you information, but it doesn't actually change anything. You ultimately, to really move the needle on security, as you know, you need to have a programmatic approach. And so the way that you would obtain that programmatic approach is taking all those little projects and pulling them all together. So that's where we've pivoted in recent times to say, listen, we're not okay. You need a pen test. First of all, why? Why are you getting a penetration test? And often it's like it reveals a deeper, well, we don't have anyone fully dedicated to security. It's our way of making sure the IT team is doing what they need to do, things like that. And there's much better ways to do that. And again, it's like that's only one small piece of it. Unfortunately, security is still such a new cybersecurity, like new, especially to the channel. If it's not, finance or healthcare, and even healthcare is not completely mature mostly not mature. They've just been regulated since 96, so they've had to, do something. Typically what we'll see is that we need to educate them. So that's where the enablement comes in. So, I only say that this is, a podcast. We're here to educate people. So I think that kind of approach of saying, hey, we'll get a project, we'll get our foot in the door. What we found is often when we do that, we are, it's they take the report and then they don't do anything with it. And then, then they have to go back and get budget approval. They usually, the people that are getting budget approval, depending on the size of the organization, they don't know how to get that budget approval. So it's difficult for them to speak the language, the business language, things like that. What we do is we just come in and we do all of that. We help them. We enable them to get to that point. So that's probably a topic for another time.
But yeah, you're right. I think I think it doesn't end at penetration testing, right, or vulnerability testing. It doesn't end there. That's just the beginning, and it kind of then evaluating what needs to happen in steps and things like that is the key. It's the follow-up, right? With anything.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and looking at it holistically, I think too, one of the reasons cybersecurity has failed, in the at least the industry, is there's all these silver bullet approaches, or there's all these things that, yeah, well, to your point, sell a widget, get secure. That doesn't work. That's not the way it happens.
Definitely it is more consultative, and really kind of digging deep into the layers of, the whole stack, right? It's not a widget, like you say. But it's the education piece as well. So as we know, the resources for expert cybersecurity, VCSOs and things like that are really rare to come by, and they're expensive, right? So, and the outlay to that for a company any size is a lot. So, kind of having expertise in that space where we can come in and help you, in all that whole layer of the 7 stack. It really, we support the customer in a different kind of way, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And that value alone, I think that saving alone and things like that just really, it shows the benefits of this, why security is needed, and we can then make IT teams look good, or help the decision makers make really. And all the C-suite people right now, they're scared because if they get hacked or think things are happening, there's all these like accountability that's happening around that C-suite. So we're helping them mitigate those risks as well, without
Big time.
the overlay. But what they're spending, they're showing not necessarily a return on investment on, but they're showing that with their clients, that they're protecting their clients when they're protecting their data and everything else, right? They're protecting their company.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's absolutely an ROI on security. That's where the conversation is flipped. It's traditionally been looked at as a cost center, and also like as a tack on to IT spend. And that's an antiquated way of looking at it. Now you invest in cyber, what you're doing is the ROI is uptime often. It's reputational. It's things that are very, sometimes they're a little bit soft. They're a bit fuzzier, but often they say cyber's tough because it's hard to prove a negative. That, hey, well, you haven't gotten hacked, so give me more money. But that's not the case. The case is, look around at the industry, look at what's happening. And now, inevitably with AI, it's becoming where no one can hide anymore, where every environment is easily accessible in many ways. So what you're trying to do is not necessarily stop every single attack. You're just trying to enable the organization to detect the attacks and contain them pretty quickly.
Yeah, we can't stay. I mean, you may disagree with me, I don't know, but we're never going to be ahead of the hackers.
No, I agree with you on
They are
that.
so far ahead of us that we just need to kind of, it's preventative, trying to figure out like what are they doing. And so talking to like companies like yours, and for us to go and advise, we know what's happening out there at least, right? Whereas we get that information of what's happening, what kind of hacks are happening, what little things are happening in the network infrastructure or whatever, right? We can bring all that information to the table. We're not necessarily internal IT guys will know what's happening out there, right? So we bring that wealth of knowledge, because nobody can stay ahead of it, right? But we can try. But yeah, to your point in terms of ROI, you're right. I always mention to my clients, and they're like, "Well, we're not going to get hacked. We don't hold. It's all in the cloud." And
Yeah, yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah.
they're the sort of standard answers, like, "Oh, it's fine. Like nobody needs my data." I'm like, it's not really about needing your data. It's like, what if you were locked out of your business for even a day, 24 hours? You couldn't do anything. You can't service your
Yeah,
client.
no invoices.
You can't do anything. You've been locked out of your house and you can't get in, right? And you're sleeping on the street, so you're sleeping in your car, and that's it, right? How much money are you going to lose? And that is, they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, let's work it out. Let's work it out and see what. And then normally it's not 24 hours if you're down, right? You're 48 hours or even a week, depending on what you have in place. So let's work out how to mitigate that. And I think they're the conversations. We have these business conversations now, right? Around what are you losing? And then your reputation to go with it. It's like you worked this hard to build your brand and your reputation and everything else for your business. Where is that going to go once they know that your clients know that you've been hacked and their data's not safe, or that you just like, it's a big thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk about those things first, and everyone's like, oh, I never thought of it like that.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah, exactly. Because, yeah, hey, we're not Fort Knox. I mean, I've been hearing that for 25, 30 years. Like, we don't have anything that anyone would be interested in. We're a marketing company, whatever the case is. And it's like, well, wait a second. Who's your biggest customer? Oh, that would be, insert Fortune 50 here. It's like, oh, okay. And do they have any contractual requirements for you to tell them if you got hacked? Oh, actually, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. They do. And yeah, as you start to go down that chain, it's like, oh, and what if, let's just say, when do they have an annual contract? Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's up for renewal pretty soon. Are you sure to win that every year? Oh, no, they often make us jump through procurement hoops. Okay. Well, would they go to how likely are they to go to your competitor once you tell them, listen, your data has been leaked and that these contracts and pre-release materials. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, boom, you've got their attention.
Yeah, and then the other one is, I've got cybersecurity insurance.
Right. Oh gosh, man.
That one's an interesting one because they're like, okay, well, are you compliant to your insurance? Like, do you know that they're going to pay out if anything happens? And even if they pay out, how are you going to run your business? Like, it's just money, but how are you going to start your business up again? Like, how are you going to, re-trigger your operations again? If you're locked out of your business, the insurance companies are going to help you with that. You could pay them, but if you pay a hacker, they're going to come back and hack you again. What's going to happen?
Yeah. Or they're gonna hack your neighbor. It's paying a ransomware, and I understand it's a business decision. We do a lot of incident response, so I've been part of those negotiations and in those rooms, and I understand when the businesses make the decision because they're like, "Hey, we just need to get up, and we don't want this stuff to get released." Now it's really about the fact that they won't. The hackers are actually many of them are very professional. And so they don't release the data, but then you're paying them. It's like someone coming to your house saying, "Hey, I've got your TV and all your stuff. Pay me and I'll give it back to you." And you're like, "Yeah, I want my stuff back. And here, here's a couple grand or something." And then they go get better tools and they break into your neighbor's house, So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a losing battle.
it is. So the insurance conversation is interesting to have as well because it's just like having fire insurance. If you don't have the right things for a fire and you have a fire, the insurance is not going to pay out. So
Yep.
let's be
Or hell.
those things as well. And so we have a lot of those conversations with our clients as well.
Yeah, it's smart, and that's where the trusted advisor part comes in, right? Because you're again, the education piece, you're not just taking them at their face value. "Oh, you've got cyber insurance? Great. Do you want 8 more widgets next year?" Or something like that. It's more like, "Wait a second, what you're doing is you're taking them on a journey to truly protect them and their business," because at the end of the day, yeah, we're all making money. Our goal is to obviously, increase revenue, etcetera. However, how do you do it? And in this circumstance, to your point, if you're becoming that trusted advisor to them, helping them alleviate pain, letting them sleep a little better at night because they're like, wow, yeah, then you're actually gaining trust, and you're going to have that client for life versus having them, every year or every couple months having to renew your relationship with them. Because you're just very transactional with them.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think that, we're always there to help and support them and make them look good within their business, right? But the key thing is like the space that we work in is like the SMB space. And it's around those growing companies as well. So they're growing all the time. Things are changing all the time and they're moving, technology's evolving the whole time. So it's really great for the cyber thing's really important when you're growing a company, right?
Oh yeah,
You've got
big time.
coming in and out, or just different things. So, or you're adding on different locations, and you've got to make sure that your posture is always up to scratch to how your company's growing. So, having expertise on board is really important, so that you can get on with the day nuts and cracks of your daytime running the business. and we can help you advise and make sure that as you're growing, your cyber is also being protected, and your business is being protected in the right way.
Yeah, that's right, and that's I think in the SMB space, we've played in that. Typically, we're more mid-market and enterprise, but, there's a real problem there because they're typically leaning on their IT team, like you mentioned, or their outsourced MSP, and, MSPs have a very, important role for taking care of the, obviously, day-to-day stuff. They do some, security, which is really important, but the model is broken in that they can't really protect an entire environment. They're typically saying, well, we do VC so as well. And their virtual chief information security officer is someone that just has, maybe meets with the client once a month, once every couple months. Oh yeah, here's a couple canned policies. Now you've got your security, or maybe they get like a GRC tool like Vanta, which I've gone on a tear about Vanta. It's the concept was good in the beginning, but now what people are using it for is quick SOC 2 compliance, which is not making them more secure. It's actually decreasing the security. So, these SMB clients, they don't have the budgets to spend on a full-time security resource. And so they often struggle to say, okay, well, listen, we'll buy, yeah, a per seat license from the MSP for logging and endpoint, and you'll monitor. But typically those are not.
It's not as you go to medium enterprise, yeah, it's not the right thing, right? The other layers, as I said, like growing companies and all of that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
also, they are not there like us learning about other vendors, right? So we have that secret sauce of really understanding and navigating what other vendors are, the solutions that they're giving right now, and what solutions their like what how their solutions are providing for other companies or or our client competitors, right? So we know that it's in and it's working, or that when there is something happening that they're going to fix it. We have all of these across the board through our portfolio that we know, and we trust them because we know they're going to do a good job. Um, and we have the escalation processes or the relationships to make sure that things do get done, because we live in a world of technology. It's always going to go wrong. It's about getting it fixed and knowing the right people and having those relationships with the right people to get stuff done. So, and that piece is really hard for MSPs to navigate, right? They don't have the resource to do that.
No, no, they typically, and yeah, they're especially right now, they're all getting rolled up by PE firms, and the PE firms are like EBITDA, so they can package
Yeah.
them and sell them in 2 or 3 years. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And coming down the line now where companies are now putting in AI and things like that. And it's like trying to map the security around AI, when they're doing their AI agents and moving data around like crazy. Who's seeing what? And sometimes the cyber bit, if they are using the MSP, they're like, oh yeah, it's all safe, but actually it's not. And so sometimes there's a bit of it's not synced, right? The MSP is doing that, and then the company in there, they're doing something else with AI agents and all the software piece, and then the MSP is not really protecting that piece, or there's something going on. There's some compliancy issues going on, and so for us to go in and give them that education and say, look, you need to link these, you need to stitch these things together, or your MSP is not protecting you here, and this is what you need, or those conversations need to be highlighted as well. So, yeah, I don't know if you have those conversations, and I think they're really important, especially now.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, for sure. We're having them on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, part of our assessments now are IT capabilities. We're assessing the capabilities of the IT team because we work in concert. You cannot have cybersecurity without IT. So, not saying that IT, the other way around. You can have IT without cybersecurity. It's not going to end well, if you
Yeah.
do.
Yes.
So we really often rely on the IT teams to do the, kind of brushing and flossing, the kind of regular hygiene that's necessary for the environment. And then we determine, are they looking at the right things? One of the big oversights that we've seen with MSPs is that they say, hey, we're going to do patching. And so then they install a lab tech agent on every, Windows device, and maybe there's a couple Macs there, et cetera, or Linux. But then what happens is they're not patching the firewall. They don't have an agent on the firewall. They're not looking at the firewall rule. If someone says, "Hey, I want to open a port," here because there's a special application, or we're often getting requests, "Hey, we want to open a database port directly to the internet."
Oh my God.
And into the internal environment. So the MSPs are doing the IT teams are doing what they're asked to do, which is keep the lights on, do the work that they have to do, and then they have this kind of false sense of security, like everything's monitored. Well, no, it's like a lot of the breaches that we've seen are because either they weren't patching, like, the devices, the network devices, which is one of the main, like, all even if it's Palo Alto or Fortinet, which are more advanced firewalls, SonicWall's a disaster. I mean, what just happened, I don't know if you've seen recently, but I think they've had a major breach. If it might have just happened, so you'll probably see that hit
No.
the news.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, and by the way, we're not working with them, so that's public information. Yeah, yeah, I didn't reveal anything under privilege, but, it's interesting because these big firewall vendors, and especially the smaller ones, they're huge targets, and the VPN, when they expose a VPN gateway. So anyway, the point is that there's blind spots.
Absolutely. Yeah. And those are the key things, right? Because that's where the doors are open for hackers to get.
Yeah, and then we just see bad practices too, like the MSPs are sharing passwords across, different customers. So, they might have an admin use, or they don't have named admin accounts, and they're going in, or even worse, we've seen these companies, big multinational companies that might have a small satellite office somewhere, and, they basically just have one local IT person that's been doing it for 15 years there, and that person has been using admin as their password. Yeah, like
Crazy. Ron Alp has it as well. Yeah, and it's on a yellow note on his computer as well.
exactly, which actually that would probably be even more secure in some ways.
I mean, 'cause these things still happen. We talk about it like it was happening years ago, but in fact, we're still going in, and employees are still not understanding.
Yeah, well, they think someone else is taking care of it. They're like, "Well, we have a security team, so I can do what I want, and they'll catch it if it's bad or something," which is
Yeah.
not the case.
And I think that's a big thing as well. It's really around the education on the employees as well, that we do go in and say, okay, you can put all of these things in and it's great and you're all going to be safe, but also comes down to the education of your employees as well, and to really to get your workforce, especially now that AI is here as well. To those governance around and the education and the governance around how employees are using different things.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, including data.
Because it's not just about knocking down laptops, it's phones as well, right? So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, MDM. There's offshore teams that are coming in and doing development, and oh, yeah, and there's a lot of nearshoring now. Philippines is a big area that is getting outsourced to. Latin America, nearshoring, a lot of, companies are using that, and so you've got these huge teams of remote workers, and, yeah, you have to control that somehow.
yeah, so it's all of those things. It's interesting times. I think that cyber and security and all of those things, there's just so much to it. No, we don't know everything, but I think that the benefits of around in being in the channel is that we can get all the information that we need, right, of what's happening out there, and really bring that resources together, and tie it all in correctly for clients.
Yeah, you get it, Anita. You understand cyber. You can have the conversation, and you're not like a traditional seller because you've been a project manager. You've been kind of, on that team trying to move a project forward for a customer. What would you say to the trusted advisors that are listening, that are kind of trying to get into security? They want to do it, but a lot of them might have been traditionally, connectivity sellers or UCaaS, CCaaS, and they wanna get into it, but they're afraid because they don't, have the knowledge, and they don't wanna get, stuck, if they start into a conversation and look silly. So how do you what would you say to them? What advice would you give them?
Well, I think you kind of mentioned they're like, they don't want to look silly, right? I think nobody wants to look silly, but I think that as trusted advisor, we don't know everything. Okay. But we do have the key to a lot of information and a lot of resources. So we're, that our team behind us are huge, right? We have so much connections, and there's just so much out there. So it's really around just asking the right questions to your clients and going, look, and saying like, I don't know if I don't know, right? But tomorrow I can get someone on the call that can absolutely knows that inside out, and we can talk about it. And that means I'm going to learn, you're going to learn. I'm going to ask some dumb questions because I sit on the side of the client, right? And if I don't know, it's fine because I'm from client perspective. I'm going to ask questions that the client may not even know how to ask. So it's a good thing that we, sometimes I don't know everything, but I do know how to get the answers.
Yeah, and often it's the suppliers, right? Like us, we encourage trusted advisors. We're like, all you have to do is get the meeting. If you get the meeting, if you say it's okay to say I don't know, don't try to, fudge it. Like just say, yeah, listen, that I'm not actually an expert, but I do know the team to call in. We come in and then we help them. And sometimes honestly, that doesn't always lead to a sale for us. Sometimes it's just educating the end customer, and we say, oh well, maybe you should go with an MDR solution first. Maybe that's more appropriate, which we don't do. But at least what we've done is we've helped them gain trust and credibility with their customer. And then, we're hoping that, goodwill, karma, that'll come back to us in some time at some time in the future. And, maybe they'll say, okay, now we're ready for you. And we need something a bit more, complex.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. I think that just the knowledge and sharing that, right, with clients, whether they're ready for it or not, it comes back in different ways, right? And whether it comes back as an incident response because it's like, oh God, I've been hacked and can you help me
We've
now?
seen it.
Right?
Yep.
See that loads.
Yep.
You see that a lot. But if we've kind of just given them, I think trusted advisors don't talk about it because they're scared and looking silly. But I think that if you let your clients know that you have the resource that can talk the talk around cyber and really kind of just give you the knowledge and understanding of what you need, and that they're not trying to sell you anything, why not? Why not just, if you've got relationships there, why not just share the knowledge and just, have a call? It's just really simple. And then I learn more, become more confident, right? You learn more because you're learning on the call. You become more confident, and then you can go out and talk more about it. Then you don't need, you kind of then qualify opportunities more as well that way. So that's kind of the way that I've done it in the last 2 years. So
that's great advice. And we always speak to them about, we've seen some pushback too, because especially like connectivity data centers, some of those deals are, multi-million, multi-year deals that, you pull when the trusted advisors pull a commission from that, it actually is, they can do the paper, they get the different vendors. It's not as complicated necessarily. With cyber, it's a solution sale. You actually have to work with them, understand their needs and their pain point. But what we've told them is, listen, yeah, we get it. You can make money quicker in some other ways. But then once that deal's done, that's done. What do you do next? It's if you really want to get in deep with your customers, you really want to gain that trust, and we can help them become sticky because we go in, our deal sizes are still decent, but it may take them a little longer to sell. So in this circumstance, it's like, well, it's worth it because once you get us in there, then it opens up a whole host of other opportunities to sell other vendors, other solutions that they might not have had access to because the customer never looked at the trusted advisor as anyone other than
the internet
connectivity.
connectivity.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But also I think that, that once you've gained trust and you've given the client some understanding and knowledge of things like that, right? And they've bought stuff or you've built that trust. One person knows that on average 500 people. And then another person knows 500 people. And so, it's not always about selling. And I think that for me, it's always around building a good credibility with my network of people. And it shouldn't always be about commissions and money. Because I feel like it just comes in different ways, right? So it's about building that trust and credibility is the key thing, because someone will always recommend you to someone if you do a really good job.
For sure. 100%. So pivoting a little bit to personal stuff. First, I always like to ask is, do you have a personal story around cyber that, you'd like to share? It's maybe had a direct impact on someone you know or
Oh my God.
your life?
Do you know, I mean, personal stories like being hacked. I mean, I in the UK got hacked quite a few times, to be honest.
Wow.
And it's
Yeah.
like, and even those simple things about telling people to do two-factor authentication and change your passwords and don't use your date of birth as your, we've all been privy to it and we've all done it.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh, yeah.
we preach all these things to customers all the time about what you should and shouldn't do. And I think personally, but we all just go back in our little old ways of doing things, and it's like, no, you need to stop.
Yeah. There's an inverse curve between convenience and security. That's the problem. The more convenient something is, usually the less secure. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, we all struggle with that. And what about you? Like, what got you here? I've read your impressive list of accomplishments. So, how'd you kind of navigate? We talked a little bit about it, but you came over to the States. What made you come here?
Yeah, I think lots of different reasons, personal reasons. Like, came over from the UK, but I think that when I did move over here, I think I've moved here at the right time. Although some people might disagree, but it's just a better quality of life, right? I live in Florida, so palm trees and beach, and who who can't who doesn't want that, right? Um, and the channels here, which is incredible. I've met in the 2 years that I've been here, I've met the most amount of amazing people and built some great relationships who I think that like my whole life in the UK, I've just not met that many people. And it's crazy, like how many people you can meet in 2 years if you really, out there work networking and building something. Um, but I think where I am right now, I'm so excited to be here because I think South Florida right now is going to be a real hub for technology companies and businesses. And I think the cyber is going to be really important. Quantum's coming, AI is already here. And so, yeah, last week I was at a Quantum Beach all-day conference, which was mind-blowing. And the cyber around that is very interesting. Another conversation. But yeah, no, I love being here. I love being part of the channel. I love, the vendors and meeting people and just learning all the time. And there's just so much business out here that I can't complain.
Yeah, yeah. I've lived in Europe, and it's funny because there's definitely more of a fixed mindset over in Europe, and it's also looked down upon to be too gregarious or out there meeting people and stuff in some ways, and so here people just eat that up.
Oh my God.
People want to be friendly, they want to get to know you. They'll
Yeah.
ask you lots of personal questions immediately.
No, and it's funny because you're growing up and you think about everyone's going to, America, living the American dream, those things, right? And you're like, okay, well, like it just goes over your head. You're like, okay, it's just one of these things that people say. But actually, when you come here and you live it, you're like, okay, there is actually if you work hard and you show up and you do the work, right, you actually can live the American dream. I
No
now
doubt.
fully believe that.
No doubt. Yeah, you're living it essentially. What's Minerva Tech doing? You're basically, tell me about the company.
So again, traditional advisory, trusted technology advisory business, but we do a lot of like education around local businesses and things like that. So we're doing a lot of panels, a lot of like working with local organizations, doing education around cyber, and protecting your business. So we're aiming to really get our feet down into the local community here in South Florida and become one of the top advisory firms in South Florida, hopefully.
Right. Yeah, good. You're on your way, so that's great. And what do you do outside of work?
Right now, when you're sort of building your business again, it's work mainly. I'm a single parent, so I have a 13-year-old, so a lot around him and, getting stuff done for him. But I love anything health and fitness. So I do a lot of training. I used to run a lot. So I used to run a lot of marathons, but I don't do it. I don't do that anymore. Lift a lot of weights. And I love like just sort of mindset work, like health, health and fitness. So in my spare time, I do a lot of that. Walking, outdoorsy. My son does a lot of photography. So we go out and walk and do a lot of photography, nature. Just sort of mind calming stuff, because we're always learning about cyber and everything else Monday to Saturday, I would say. So
Right, right. You need a break. You need
need a
to take
break. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're doing some work with nonprofits as well?
Yes, I sit on the board for 2 nonprofits here locally. Lighthouse for the Blind, and interestingly, we use a lot of technology for visually impaired. And it's really amazing to see our clients using the Meta glasses, for instance, or visually impaired, and just really helps them get around. So really interesting there around that tech piece. And also getting them into work, right? And doing jobs and things like that. So really getting involved in the community doing that. And then the other one I sit on was Speak Up for Kids, and we're helping children in foster care. And as they exit out of foster care, and setting them up and ensuring that, they're looked after and not forgotten about. And then also helping parents and supporting the foster care parents with their day-to-day lives as well. So really important part of the community as well. I've really enjoyed embedding myself in the community of the nonprofit world, and just all the chambers and all the different things. I think I'm going to be doing leadership soon, like next year as well. Just lots of learning, lots of learning. Yeah.
It's amazing. I can see where you're busy. These 2 nonprofits, very important and take a lot of time. Your son, being a single parent, like, and getting Minerva up and, cranking, amazing. So, where can people connect with you?
LinkedIn. I try to do as much as I can on LinkedIn. So I'm on there. And then I guess through my website, email, everything's on there. So
Yeah, and I think we'll put links to that as well for the episode. But Minerva Tech Group, TEC Group.
yeah, I couldn't afford the H. It was too expensive. That's a true story.
Yeah, probably Minerva Tech without the H was probably like, a normal price. And then
Yeah,
with the H,
and
it's
then
probably like $25,000.
it was $80,000. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
I'm not
Yeah.
paying 80,000 for 8.
Yeah. No.
So
No.
everyone will know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Domain name they're not. Yeah. Totally. Trying to .io like we did. That was the easy one. So,
Okay. Yeah, it's just so funny. But yeah, it's Minerva Tech Group.
all right. Well, thank you, Anita Patel. This has been really, really a pleasure to go through your journey, learn the way that you're successful in this, and how you're bringing those solutions as a real, technology trusted advisor. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Lou. I appreciate it.
And to those of you that are watching and or listening, if you learned something today or laughed, please tell someone about this podcast. Thanks again, Anita. And this has been another exciting episode of Channel Security Secrets. See you next time. That's a wrap for this episode of Channel Security Secrets. Thanks for tuning in. For show notes, guest info, and more episodes, visit us at channelsecuritysecrets.com. Channel Security Secrets is sponsored by Cyber Defense Group. When it comes to protecting your business, don't settle for reactive. Partner with experts who build resilience from the ground up.